A soldier's story, life and duty and legacy with a World War II Irish Guards officer. Welcome to Once a Warrior, Life Beyond the Uniform, the official podcast of the Northern Ireland Veterans Commissioner's Office. In this very special episode, we are honoured to be joined by Captain John Gough, a Second World War veteran of the Irish Guards who fought with distinction in one of the most significant operations of the war, Operation Market Garden. Captain Gough reflects on his remarkable journey through war, leadership and regimental life, from the heat of battle in Europe to a lifelong commitment to service and remembrance. This is a soldier's story, life, duty and legacy with a World War II Irish Guards veteran. Welcome to this very special edition of Once a Warrior, Life Beyond the Uniform podcast. My name is David Johnson. I'm the Veterans Commissioner for Northern Ireland, and today I am in the house of a very special World War II veteran, Captain John Gough, who served with the Irish Guards. John, absolutely delighted.
Thank you very much for coming.
Really pleased to be here. Thank you for giving us some time.
No, not at all.
Really looking forward to
Honoured
hearing
that you consider me important enough to come and interview me.
Well, there's no question you're very important, and what a life you've lived.
Oh, well.
I had the privilege of coming down when you turned 100 and presenting you with a picture frame from the office.
Yes.
That was a special day for you.
It was indeed. It was, yes. No, it was lucky because it was a glorious day and we were out on the lawn and sun shone and it was...
And there was a big crowd, your family and friends who came.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. And you, I'm sure, received, in fact I can see it in the corner, you received your letter from His Majesty the King.
Yes.
Regarding turning 100, so I'm sure that's something that you appreciated to receive.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, look, I'm really looking forward to getting into your life, your different experiences.
Well, I will try and answer as best I can. Yeah. But my memory may be a little vague in certain.
Yeah, no, that's fully understandable. So the best place to start, I suppose, is where were you born? Any memories of early life?
I was born in London, Elverston Place. And my father had served in the Irish Fusiliers and he was badly wounded. So he came out of the army. And my grandfather was advisor to the Nizam of Hyderabad. Right. And in those days, it was a huge, great area, more or less in the center of India. And he went out to form the Nizam's police, which he did. And then my father, after he was wounded, he was too young, 14, 18, but Gallipoli afterwards, that campaign, he got badly wounded in the hip. And so he was invalided out and looking for a job. And my grandfather said, well, come on out here, I'm sure we could find something, that would be suitable for you. So my father went out to India and he more or less formed the Nizam's police, and he became head of this. And they were quite a sort of efficient and good body of men. They did keep reasonable order, There was an awful practice going on in India at one time. There was a sect known as thugs. And what they used to do, they would join a caravan of people going somewhere. And then at a predestined sign, usually at night, they would attack everybody and loot all the goods and everything. Right. And they were known as thugs.
Okay.
And I think that my father had quite a business trying to suppress this group and monitor things,
Right. That's
And I suppose as children it was great. I don't know how old I must have been because I think in those days we had a Norland nanny to look after us, and she came out, and I think I must have been maybe 2.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So we went out to India, and then all my childhood days, that's from 2 to 7, was spent in India, and it was a wonderful life for a child then, because if we wanted a picnic, my father would bring out the forestry and an elephant would be produced.
Is that right? Wow.
And so we'd ride on the elephant up to these old forts and we'd have a picnic.
Wow.
So, childhood days was quite good fun.
And you can remember being on an elephant on your way to a picnic?
Yes, indeed.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's not too many children have that as a memory, to be fair.
No, I know, that was, yeah.
Okay, well, that's a fascinating start to life then. And then when did you first come to Northern Ireland that you can remember?
Well, I first came, I was stationed over here to do guard at Hillsborough when the governor was at Hillsborough.
Okay.
And we were sent over, and I was one of the officers in charge of the guard there.
Okay.
And it was Wakehurst then was governor. And then that finally finished.
Okay. Okay. And then this, obviously, Second World War happens.
Yes.
You were 17 then when you actually joined up. Were you looking forward to that day?
I was 17 when I joined up. And I was at a public school called Downside near Bath. And one of the housemasters had been in the Irish Guards during the 1418 war. So anybody who was leaving into the Irish Guards.
Right, okay.
This was a sort of channel. There's anyone going to go Irish Guards. And having been an officer there, and they knew him and everything, they were delighted to get these young fellows, I suppose.
Yeah.
So that's how I came to the Irish Fusiliers, or the family regiment really was the Irish, Royal Irish Fusiliers.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask, because obviously there's obviously quite a bit of friendly rivalry, shall we say, and competition in Northern Ireland among the regiments. So you obviously were Irish Guards, so I was keen to hear why the Irish Guards, which you've explained. I had an uncle who was 16 years in the Irish Guards. The same name as me, David Johnston.
Oh, right,
He served in Aden.
Yes.
And he finished up, is it Bird Cage Walk? Is your regiment headquarters. So he finished up there as a W02.
Yeah.
My father still has lots of sort of memories. He's passed now, but my father can mention different things that he did and places he went,
Yes.
But I think you said to me you had some family members then that were Irish Fusiliers.
Most of the family were Irish Fusiliers.
Okay.
My uncle commanded them at one time, and but my brother was going into them, and my mother thought, Irish Guards were very grand. I think I'll put my son in there.
Yeah, you got in there.
So I was more. Fortunately, there was a relation in the Irish Guards. There was a Gough in them and commanded them at one stage. So anyway, I went the ordinary route of going in as a guardsman.
Okay.
And then you were what known as the brigade squad, and through it wasn't Sandhurst was the army. It was the other camp, Aldershot.
Wasn't Purbright, no?
Purbright.
Was it Purbright?
Yeah. Purbright was infantry, and Sandhurst was mostly the cavalry lot, the tanks.
Okay. Yes, okay.
So we went there and then eventually passed out on that. And
okay. No, that definitely explains then the Irish Guards. I can remember the day of your birthday at the end.
Yes.
There was two battle cries. There was the Fochaballa, which is obviously your Fusilier roots.
Yeah.
And then there was the the Irish Guards, Chris Roberts. So
Christopher,
they both got a mention on your 100th. So which is really good. I felt very at home being ex-Royal Irish Rangers. I felt at home with Fochaballa. That's for sure. Okay, listen, that's brilliant. So Second World War. What's your earliest memory of the war? When were you aware that there was a world war happening?
My earliest memory was that I was called over as an individual because the officer who commanded the carriers, and I was doing the carriers in England, I was commander of the carriers there, he had been promoted to a company commander, so this gap fell out, and so I was sent across, or had to find my way across to the regiment. So I sort of thumbed my way across and through France. Eventually I found the regiment. Colonel Vandeler welcomed me, and he said, well, now tomorrow we're going to take up another position, but you've just arrived, you stay back. Yeah, all right. And so the regiment moved up to Sudan, and it was where they had quite heavy casualties. Okay. It was, yes, it was bad.
Yeah. Was that not before Market Garden then?
Yes, it was in Normandy. Yeah.
So, okay. And where did you first go in Europe then? Was that?
Well, then, of course, there was all this, so in Normandy, tanks, very difficult to use tanks because they're mostly small sort of orchards and small areas, no great open sort of fields or anything. So armour was fairly limited. But eventually things came to a standstill and nothing seemed much to happen. And then eventually we did the breakout to Brussels.
Okay.
And met very little resistance, really.
Okay. Can you remember your emotions, John, of what it was like? You're still quite young at this stage, and here you are in a world war with everything, all the uncertainty. I'm sure family back home. Can you remember any of your feelings, or what was it? What was it like?
You see, when you're young and you haven't yet experienced war, you think it's rather exciting. You know, you're going into this thing and you look forward. Change your mind after. But to begin with, you know, it's you know, imagine a young lad of about 17, 18, going into this. You never think of the bad things. It's always the good things you think about.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure camaraderie played a part early on as you were with other people with the same, I suppose the same emotions that you were having. There was excitement. I'm sure some fear, but can you remember the camaraderie and that sense of belonging?
Oh yes, it was very good. That yeah.
I think even the Irish regiments have that. While every regiment has it.
Yes,
I think there's maybe an extra.
Some maybe have a bit more than others. I don't know.
Yeah, on that front. Okay, if we can move forward a little bit then towards Market Garden. That was obviously a very significant campaign, sort of battle. I think around about 10,000 odd troops dropped into Holland. I think.
Yeah, well, we got as far as Nijmegen, and the bridges there were taken, and I must say the Americans were incredible there. They were in these inflatable dinghies paddling across the bloody river to establish a bridgehead at the far side. Okay. Incredible. They lost a lot of casualties in there. Yeah. But fortunately, the Germans, for some reason, or I don't know why, had not detonated all the explosives that were put on the bridge. So they were all neutralized, with the result that the armor could go across on these bridges still standing.
Yeah, okay. And I know the Irish Guards made a really good advancement.
Yes,
And then perhaps other regiments didn't
And
get
we
as
went
far
on,
and were
and
exposed.
the airborne, of course, were dropped at Arnhem.
Yeah.
And the idea was that we would join up with them. But unfortunately, the terrain from where we were stopped and Arnhem, it's all a built-up road.
Right.
With the result that tanks couldn't use it because they were just picked off like sitting ducks.
Yes.
This mountain road, the only one way to get. And so the whole thing ground to a stop, and that's why Arnhem was never relieved, you know.
Yeah.
And
I think it's something like about 1,500 men killed in 9 days.
yes, I know
in
it
that.
was.
And I'm sure you have some recollections of situations where either people you knew, people you served with, or just been
Yes,
aware
yeah.
that so many Allied troops were losing their life. What can you recall? Kind of that emotion around recognizing
It
that?
was very distressing to see them coming back when they couldn't be relieved, you know. At Arnhem, and they filtered back bit by bit. It was distressing sight.
Yeah, I think sometimes when it comes to looking back at campaigns and wars, understandably there is a focus on those who lost their life. But from a military point of view, one of the challenges is those that have been injured.
Yes, I know.
Because they have to be ferried back and treated, and it takes a lot of resources, effort, manpower.
Oh, I know, yeah.
What was that like in terms of seeing injured soldiers cared for and then passed back up the line? Did that work well in Market Garden, or because you're so far maybe from base, was that difficult?
The great thing was, I was so relieved to see that this service was so good, how they were brought back to be tended, you know. It was really good that the medics were marvellous. They really were good.
Yeah.
They had to perform operations they probably normally wouldn't have had to do, but they did this, and it was very good the way we were looked after.
Yeah, good. After Market Garden, then, when did you return to England, or where did you extract to?
We then were stationed at Hamburg.
Okay, over to Germany. Yeah, okay.
And I was there for a while, and then eventually I was drafted to Ireland to do guard at Hillsborough when the governor was in residence.
Okay, yeah.
And I think a company of guardsmen and the 2 officers were sent over, and we used to do guard at Hillsborough, mount guard there, you know.
Okay.
So I did that.
Can you remember, John, when you heard the news that the war was over? Can you remember where you were? Can you remember how you heard?
Just trying to think where I was on cricket. I think I was at Hamburg, at the time. But it didn't just suddenly come, you know, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So really it didn't come as a surprise. We all knew it was petering out and it had to come. So it wasn't suddenly a sort of, you know, a thing.
I think was it Field Marshal Montgomery wrote a letter to all the troops.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you ever remember getting a copy of that, or perhaps it just went to battalion headquarters. But I think he wrote a famous letter that went out to all the troops on VE Day.
So then I came over to Northern Ireland and did guard at Hillsborough when the governor was there.
Okay. Back over here in Northern Ireland, back into, call it normal life.
Yeah.
Did you have any challenges adjusting back into normal life after what you had been through? Did it take time, to sort of decompress, if you like, from the experiences?
Well, there were quite a few offers for men like myself who'd come out of a regiment and were looking for jobs. A good many of them were abroad, and the one that I chose was in the Sudan. It's a huge country, and it was administered by the Brits, and had a very good reputation. I think after India, probably they were the next most elite lot, and it meant going out, and it was south of Khartoum, a huge flat area which could be artificially irrigated from the Nile.
Okay.
And it was mainly growing cotton. And the cotton fields were made out of 10 plots of an acre each. And a tenant had these 10 acres, which he was responsible for seeing it was weeded, and the cotton was picked and then sent back to the light railway and finally to the ginning mills. And what we were there really to do was to control the water. No rainfall. All the irrigation had to come off the Nile. So it really, our responsibility, I think, was monitoring the flow of water.
Yeah, okay, to make sure.
Because otherwise, they would have just opened everything, and as I say, the Nile wouldn't have been that good by the time it reached.
Yeah, I got to there. Okay, no, that's
Yeah.
again a very interesting job to go to after service. Was there? I'm really curious. Was there any part of you wanted to stay in, because you're still quite a young man at this stage? Was there any part of you wanted to stay in the military and have a full military career and rise up the ranks, or you felt, no, I want to go into...
No, I think I felt time had come. I'd like to try something else,
Yeah.
And this opportunity came up of a job in the Sudan, and it was very highly spoken of. It was very well ministered, and so no, that was okay. And you were given a bungalow, and you had a horse to begin with, and you had to go round all these plots, checking A, control of water, B, that they were weeded and properly looked after, tended. And when you just get a horse and you plod around, and then eventually you were given a car, so you got the ability to go further afield. And you had a bungalow which consisted of a veranda, and it was all sandfly netted.
Oh, yes, yes.
So you could sit on your veranda and the sandfly wouldn't come. And then you had a bedroom and a sort of living room. And then outside the veranda, which you could sit on. And then you were given a cook and an orderly and a gardener.
Okay.
So the cook cooked and the gardener gardened. Houseboy did the housework.
So you're well looked after.
Yeah.
Well,
and then every Friday, we used to go to the club. There was a club fairly central, I mean, maybe, 15 miles away, or 10, 12 miles away, there was the club. And Friday, which was Sabbath day, was the holiday. And so we'd all go to the club, and there was a squash court there, tennis courts if you wanted. And And then at the evening, the bar, and
Yeah.
people played bridge or whatever they wanted to.
And were you conscious that the world had changed drastically after the Second World War? Or was there a realization that the world was sort of resetting economically as well as militarily?
In the Sudan, you weren't really
not so much there.
evolved so much, you know. I mean, what went on in England went on there. And you in the Sudan, and just day followed day, and it sort of.
Okay, and then you eventually come back to Northern Ireland here, sort of to settle
Then
down.
eventually what happened was we were paid off.
Okay.
Which was great because nice golden handshake. Okay. And I came back. I'd married Lord Kilmary's daughter, and we'd been married when I was in the Sudan, and she came out first of all with me, and then the second time she came with our first child, Jane. Okay. And then, as I say, we were kept out giving a golden handshake. And the most extraordinary, I suppose, lucky way you could say that, the old girl who lived here, Edie Hunter Moore, had been given this plot of land by the Kilmary estates.
Okay.
And she used to go every Sunday down to Mount Park. She'd have lunch there. She had her own car and her chauffeur. And then eventually she died, and her family came over expecting to inherit this, which was her property. Mm-hmm. But in fact, she cut them all out of her will.
Right.
Because they'd never bothered with her or anything. They'd never come near her. Always, it was Kilmary who invited her down, had lunch and everything. So when she died, she left this place to Kilmary.
Right.
So when I got married, Kilmary said, well, the house, better move in.
Very good.
Which was very convenient.
And what a beautiful property.
I know.
You know,
it was very lucky.
I'm laughing to myself here. I'm hoping if my two sons are watching the podcast.
What was that?
If my two boys, Joshua and Caleb, if they watch the podcast, I'll tell them to make sure to listen to this point about the will. And I'll tell them to behave themselves because they might get cut out of the will if they don't behave themselves. So brilliant. So you've landed here for fantastic then, and then
yes.
Moving on then towards your retirement years. You were based here. Were you still involved in jobs or business, or how did you occupy your time?
Well, when I came here, Edie Hunter Moore, who owned this place, she had. I think it was 3 milk cows to supply the house with butter and milk. Mm-hmm. And so when I came, there were the bars down there. But I think that most of the cows had gone by then, but the bars were intact.
Okay.
So I built a silo, and some cattle dealer got to know about this and came. Sold me a lot of skinny animals on 4 weeks. Oh, they're the best you'll get. They need much milk, you know, like hell. So eventually I rumbled
You didn't get what you were expecting.
No, gone. And then, of course, I was able then, big dairy herds, if cows get affected and they're only milking on 3 tits, the big farms don't want to know them. And you can buy them very cheaply.
Okay.
So this is how I got into pedigree herd. I would go to a farmer and he'd say, well, this cow is only milking on 3. No good, no
Yeah.
good to me. You can have it at a cut down price, but a good
So, okay.
registered animal,
So you're able to get in, yeah.
So in that way, I sort of was able to build up a
Okay.
good herd,
Okay, very good.
and I had a good man who lived at the Gate Lodge who was experienced with cattle, so that worked well.
Very good. So coming sort of towards the end of the podcast, right through then to your 100th birthday that we talked about at the start.
Yeah.
That must have been an amazing couple of days, but particularly the day here when so many of your friends and family
Yes, it was good.
and many distinguished guests all came here for your birthday. How did you feel that day?
I felt very honoured, but delighted that so many had come. I hope they were well looked after and well watered.
I think they were, from memory. They definitely were. It was. I think it was an honour for them to be here, and
I'm so lucky to have this lovely place here.
yeah, yeah.
Do you know there is not a tree standing between Newry and Banbridge apart from here? Not a tree.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so there's some amazing history in somewhere like here.
I know. It's
fantastic.
See, yeah.
So as we come sort of to a conclusion, I'm sort of forced to try and get you to maybe reminisce a bit in terms of summarising your life. I mean,
Yeah.
you've gone from London to India,
Yes.
Northern Ireland, Europe,
Yeah.
over to Sudan.
Yes. Quite.
Any thoughts as you look back over your life, just about humanity in general? I mean, you've lived through a Second World War with so much hurt and pain and suffering and loss of life.
Yes.
There's a lot of talk today about a Third World War possibly coming. How does that make you feel when you hear people talking about a Third World War? And sometimes politicians, I think, talk about it very glibly. They've never been through it. You have. What would you say to them?
Really, I find it difficult to think there could be a Third World War simply because the weaponry is so devastating now that no country could survive with modern weaponry. It would just...
Yeah, it'd be a short war if all that weaponry was brought to bear.
You could bunker down if you want, but your water supply, your food and everything would be just gone.
Yeah. I think we very often forget as a society the real cost and pain of war. And for many people, the Second World War is just something in the history books. It's something they watch films about. But someone like yourself, you've got your memories of what that was like to live through those times.
Yes, I know.
Do you find it frustrating sometimes that society doesn't remember? Or
Yes,
is that just the way society works as time passes?
I think it was very depressing to see all these poor people left homeless, trekking along the highway, trying to find shelter somewhere.
Yeah.
It was a bit upsetting that,
Yeah.
Small children, women.
Yeah. No, it's there's so much pain and suffering after war finishes.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the last time I saw you was the VE80 celebrations in Kilkeel.
Oh,
and you
God.
absolutely stole the show that night because you were in front as the guest, and the person on the microphone came, if you remember, and asked you to say a few words to the crowd.
Yeah.
And I just remember the crowd going silent, and there they were celebrating VE80. Probably no one else there had been alive or present. And you took to the mic, and
I hope I said something sensible.
You very much. I was actually going to ask you if you remember, but you probably it's a while back. But you referred to, first of all, it was your thanks that they were taking time to remember.
Oh.
But you also referred to your fallen colleagues and those who didn't return.
Yeah.
I don't want to sort of take you into that in huge detail, but could you just share your thoughts when you think back to the war, friends who didn't come home, Do you think about them at times? I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
Could you just share that with us?
Well, funnily enough, I think those that were killed outright, it was just the end. It's the ones that were badly wounded and suffered very uncomfortable lives later on. They're the ones one would sympathize for, you know. When you're dead, and you don't.
Yeah.
When they're suffering as such, but a badly wounded person who has to live with pain for the rest of their lives, that I think is hard.
Okay. Listen, thank you for that, because I appreciate it's not always easy to think back. So my last question,
Yeah.
the young people.
Yes.
There's very often discussions about different generations, and the next generation is never quite as good as the previous generation. And even within military circles, there's discussions around if there was another war, could this generation go, actually have the ability to go and fight? And there's different perspectives. But what would you say to a young person today who's maybe 16, 17, the age you were when you're being called up? Any advice you would give them? What would you say to them about being in the British Army?
I think that you have to have a leaning towards military life. I think for somebody who is an academic, they might find it difficult going in as an infantryman, you know. But things have changed a lot now from the day when I went in. Advice to a young person. I think if you don't have sort of ambitions academically, I think the army is a good life. You see a lot of the world. You make a lot of friends, and at the same time you are offering your services and indeed your life if the necessity arises.
Okay, that's good. I said it was the last question of one more. How does Captain John Gough want to be remembered?
That's a difficult one.
Or what legacy would you like to think you've left to your family and society?
I'd like to be thought of a fellow who could mix well in society and have a lot of friends.
Good. I think that's a great place to end. John, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you for giving me your time.
No, listen, it's humbling for someone like myself in this role as the Veterans Commissioner. We deal with a lot of different things.
Yes.
And it's such a variety of things we deal with. But one of the highlights has been to meet yourself, to present you on behalf of the office, Rachel and Alan in the office, the picture of the different poppies over the years. That was certainly a privilege, and to be here today again has been absolutely fantastic. So something I'll remember and cherish. And I want to thank you for your time. I want to also, on behalf of the office, thank you for your service and wish you many happy years ahead.
Thank you so much.